Call the April 16th OnPoint Board of Directors meeting to order. All rise for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. They're sending along a sign-up sheet. But, Megan, do you have the, roll call for the different items for that I usually have here?
Oh, yes, I can get that for you.
Because I'm not finding it here. And while you're, do you have to print that off, Megan?
Yes.
Okay, while you're doing that, we'll go on to, will suffice for the roll call for the sign-in sheet. Next on the agenda is the provision for public comment. Is there anyone in the public here in the room that would like to address the board at this time? Hearing none. Anyone online, Megan?
Is there anyone online that would like to comment? No.
Well, I'm to the point where I need to have my paper, so. But, please look at the agenda if there's any, additions, corrections to the
This
agenda.
is just a roll call,
The roll call is the
sign-in sheet.
sign-in sheet because I don't have
Right.
the paperwork that Megan
Okay.
is,
Right,
printing off. Because usually she has it right here for me, with Mark being in St. Louis and Alice away, it's a little confusing this evening,
you could call by the cards.
but
You could call the roll with, looking at the cards.
thank you, Mandy. Okay, we'll go back to roll call. Kimberly Bartnick,
Yes, present.
Pam Brenner,
Here.
Glenn Brookhouse. Here. Jessica Castaneda,
Here.
Art DeYoung. Here. Bill Dugan is here. Jane Farrell.
Here.
Beth Johnson.
Here.
Alice Kelsey is excused absence. Robin Phillips,
Here.
Karen Strad is an excused absence. And Pastor Craig Van Beek. Here. We have a quorum. Now on the approval of the agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
Move to approve.
There's support. Support by Glenn. All in favor say yes.
Yes.
That passes. Next on the agenda is the consent agenda. Is there anything on the consent agenda that anyone would like to have removed for, discussion afterwards? Hearing none. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Well, that's the finance.
Is there a support to that?
Support.
Support by Jessica. All in favor say yes.
Yes.
That motion carries. Next on the agenda is the program committee. Co-chair Kimberly, would you give our report tonight?
I will try. First, we had the ACT team on, presenting to us the assertive community treatments. What they talked about was treating people out in the public. Sometimes they have to go to jail, sometimes people are homeless, but where they go wherever they need to go. They have this PowerPoint packet, and I asked them if they wanted the board to know anything, and they said, if you read this, to reach out to Chandra so she can fill you out even more. And Mandy is going to be leaving us. She put in her resignation effective May 3rd. And she's moving on to be the executive director at the Lake Superior Band of Chippewa. And that's about all I got tonight.
Is there any questions for Kimberly at this time on the program committee report? Thank you very much for that report. And publicly, it's out, and I'll let Mandy address that later here at compliance training. Gonna get everything we can out of you. Committee report. Chairman Johnson, would you take the floor?
Thank you. First and foremost, we're gonna go over the audit, and we have a guest. His name's Bill Kirchman, and he's from the auditors, and I don't have their name in front of me, but he's gonna explain this. Oh, RPC, sorry.
What
Go
do you
ahead.
like
It's all
in your-
It's all right. It's okay if I stand here?
Yep.
Good, all right, good. Well, good evening, everyone, or good afternoon. I'm not sure whether we switched to evening yet or not, but had a chance to go over this with the finance committee a little earlier. It's this colored worksheet here. Hopefully everyone has that. What we did this year is we put a summary of this page here of all the, what I think are the key takeaways from your report. It covers the opinion, the government accounting standards audit report, as well as the governance letter. And there's 14, I believe there's 14 things on here. These are what I think are the most important things that you need to know as a board member. If I were in your shoes, this is what I would want to know. They're numbered 1 through 14. The numbers also correspond to the attached. So if you want to see where they came from, you can follow along. And then in the very back, there's a couple of pages of on the financial audit pages, page 1 and 2. So I'm going to start in, and if you have any questions, feel free to interrupt as we go. Item number 1. This is taken from the independent auditor's report. It's not numbered in your full report. It's in the front. It's not numbered. The auditor's opinion on the financial statements is in the opinion section. It covers the basic statements and related notes found on pages 1 through 13. Okay, and to the far right is the key paragraph. In bold is the key sentence. And then reading the bold sentence, in our opinion, the financial statements referred to above present fairly in all material respects. In other words, we believe the statements are a fair presentation of where you were at the end of the year and the results of operations for that year. It's also referred to as a clean opinion or unqualified opinion. And it's the most important line in the entire audit. Okay, any questions on that? Okay, also included in that independent auditor's report is item number 2. It covers management's discussion and analysis, which is Roman numeral 1 through 6. And the key paragraph to the right and the bold lettering, we have applied certain limited procedures to the required supplementary information. Basically, we read that and make sure there's nothing in that that's inconsistent with what we saw during our audit, but we do not audit the management discussion and analysis. Last bold sentence, we do not express an opinion or provide any assurance on the information on the management discussion and analysis page. So that is a summary of what I think you need to know about that financial audit report, the opinion page. Middle section, government auditing standards, covers items 3 and 4. Is found on pages 14 and 15 of your full report. The internal control over financial reporting paragraph applies to the entity as a whole. To the far right, in bold, we did not identify any deficiencies in internal control that we consider to be material weakness. We do look at internal control. We don't audit it extensively enough to issue an opinion. But we do look at internal control. If there's issues we find will be identified in this paragraph, and there were none. Same approach to the compliance and other matters. It applies to the entity as a whole. The next paragraph now, we performed tests of compliance. Providing an opinion on compliance was not an objective. Accordingly, we do not express such an opinion. We do test various compliance issues. Again, not extensively enough to issue an opinion. If we did run across issues or findings, we would identify here. That last sentence of that paragraph, the results of our test disclose no instances of non-compliance or other matters that are required to be reported under government auditing standards. So there's the government auditing standards letter. Any questions on that? And then the bottom is the letter we sent out to those charged with governance. You all should have gotten a copy of this. I just kind of highlighted some of the key sentences, items 5 through 14. Starting with number 5, we noted no transactions for which there was a lack of authoritative guidance or consensus. All significant transactions have been recognized in the statements in the proper period. Number 7, we had to identify the most sensitive estimates, which were compensating absences and the useful life of capital assets. 8, disclosures are neutral, consistent, and clear. 9, we encountered no significant difficulties in dealing with management. 10, known or likely misstatements identified were communicated to management. None of the misstatements detected were material or required to use that language. There actually was none at all, even though it kind of implies there may have been. 11, there was no disagreements in the course of our audit. Management provided a signed rep letter. 13, there were no consultations with other auditors. And the last one, we generally discuss a variety of matters, and our response to those discussions was not a condition to be retained as the auditor. So there's a summary of that. Any questions on that? And the last 2 pages I actually didn't cover with the finance team. They flip toward the back. It's actually page 1 because it's the same page number comes from the full report. I just highlighted your unrestricted net position. Okay, it's a negative 883. You probably read the note 15 on page 12 of the report. A deficit elimination plan is required to be filed with the state. I think you probably had that discussion, so you're all aware of that. And then the next page, page 2, I just pointed out the current year increase in net position. If you were a for-profit company, this would be your profit or loss. And you added $1,359,000 to your net position, which is a nice bump, nice increase. So that's a summary of what I think you need to know, at least the key items. So questions? Now's your chance. Tell the auditor.
Is there any questions for the auditor? We have kept the board very much in the know as to the letters that you have sent off from your company.
Okay.
As to what our responsibility as the governing board are. And I have brought them publicly to the meetings also.
Very good.
And made sure that everybody around this horseshoe knows what our responsibilities are.
Sure.
I also wanted to say to our finance team, the comment that there was no significant difficulties dealing with management. That really shows your confidence in our staff here that we have.
Absolutely.
And so we appreciate that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, is there any other comments for the auditor at this time? If not, thank you very much. You bet.
Mr. Chair.
Oh, yeah.
She's
clean always.
This is a comment for you, our question. Did you wish to have a motion to accept the audit and use it on record?
Well, I was gonna thank him first.
Okay. All
Business.
right, I didn't see it written anywhere.
No, but is there any other questions or comments? Okay,
Well, I appreciate the chance to be here. Please don't hesitate to call or email. We'd be glad to chat. Or we can attend a meeting at a later time if you have questions.
that's true, and enjoy our construction here.
It's very nice. I actually drove down the street to kind of get a peek at it. Looks like they're gonna be at it a while.
Yeah.
It was September. Okay, all right, thank you very much.
Thank you,
for being
appreciate
here
it. Yeah,
tonight.
bye-bye.
Thank you.
While it's hot and everything, I'll entertain that motion to accept the audit report as presented.
Move to accept the.
I'll second it.
All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
All opposed? That motion carries.
All right, moving on to the financial reports on page 11. Help me out if I need help, but I'm gonna try this, Andre. On page 11, on the summary of the revenue and expenses, if you look over on the far right column, under the Medicaid subtotal of the 1.6 million, that is what we're looking at returning to the LRE. And if you go down to the general fund in the far right column, there's about 440,000. We are looking at returning that to the state. But the nice number is the one right above that, the 767, the subtotal of the CCBHC, that they are making a profit and they're doing a nice job with that. So does anyone have any questions on that page? Those were the big standouts. Moving on to page 12. Here we go. The two accounts, one in the assets due from other governmental units. It jumped from 1.1 up to 4.4. That was basically a matter of timing where 2 months paid in the same 30 days of this report and so forth. And then down in the liabilities, due to the other governmental units, basically that's a jump because that's where they're parking the money that we had to return to the LRE in the state. Well, I'm getting a gold star, man. All right.
Oh, yeah.
I do listen.
I'm working myself on the job.
No. But the number that we do have a motion on coming up and what Bill just said in the audit, way down in the net position on the unrestricted, we have that elimination deficit we have to take care of. And those numbers represent that, right? Okay, that's good enough. I'm gonna have you come up and talk about the elimination before we do the motion on it, because that's a little dicey. Moving on to the page 13, everything's looking great, healthy, good financially, but Andre said there's gonna be a budget amendment on 6. I don't know, 1, 2, 5, sorry, can't count.
No, 6. You were right, 6.
Okay.
6 what?
6 accounts on page 13 under operating expenses. If you look at the far right column where the percentages are like way high, we should be at this time of year at about 41%. And supplies and materials is way up at 66.9. They're going to amend that one. Occupancy is at 72%. Right below it, miscellaneous at 63%. Depreciation at 99%. And then jumping down a little to that interest expense is at 96%. And for this time of year, it should be around that 41, 42 mark. So they're going to make an amendment. And if you have questions about those amendments, you can ask Mr. Pierre. So, other than that, those were the highlights of the finance committee. So, on to the motions, and we got to jump around a little bit here. First, we go back to page 6, I believe, and this motion or action item is simply paying the bills for the month. And I recommend that the OnPoint board approve the February 2024 disbursements totaling $3,706,532.44.
So move.
Sherry made the motion.
Got
Your
it. Support. Thank you.
Okay.
Whatever it takes.
With that, we're spending money, so this will be a roll call vote. Kimberly Bartnett,
Yes.
Pam Brenner,
Yes.
Glenn Brookhouse,
Yes.
Jessica Castaneda,
Yes.
Mark DeYoung,
Yes.
Jane Farrell,
Yes.
Beth Johnson,
Yes.
Robin Clay,
Yes.
and Pastor Craig Van Beek.
Yes.
And Gail Dugan says yes. That motion carries.
Okay, now you have to go over to the revised agenda packet. And it's the second page and it's for the contracts. They added a few contractors, basically. It's for Helping Hands, Esther Electric, Diane Bennett, Digital Elevation, and Ferris State University. So I move that the OnPoint board approve the following list of provider contracts for the fiscal year 2024.
Second that?
Pam, that's good. And since this is contractual, this will be a roll call again. Pastor Van Beek,
Yes.
Dr. Robin Clay,
Yes.
Beth Johnson,
Yes.
Jane Farrell,
Yes.
Gail Dugan says yes. Mark DeYoung,
Yes.
Jessica Castaneda,
Yes.
Glenn Brookhouse,
Yes.
Pam Brenner,
Yes.
and Kimberly Barton.
Yes.
That motion carries.
Okay. One more action item, and it's the last page in the revised agenda. So keep the same packet. Once we have it supported, we'll go to discuss it with Onward. Okay? I move that the OnPoint board adopt the attached deficit elimination plan as summarized below.
Do I have support for that? Support by Glenn? He raised his hand. Okay, you're here. Would you like that, Jane? Okay. Jane has support.
That's what you get.
With that,
Andre, would you like to come up and explain this?
Sure.
Just for the record.
So if this board recalls, last year about this time, I sat in front of you and made you aware that we had a budget or a deficit, a budget deficit, and then we had to have a plan because we had this deficit that we had to report that plan to the state and also included in that plan was a description of how we would do it and over what time period we would do it. I believe we had a 5-year plan that we had put forward and this board approved it. The deficit at that time that we put in was our number that we calculated is 1.5. The state wanted to include our long-term debt in that, which brought it to 2 million, but really it's this 1.5. Okay, it just depends on how you want to. It's an accounting difference, okay, but really we're at 1.5 million. So what we received a letter a little over a week ago from the Department of Treasury for the state of Michigan, just asking us to give them an update on the deficit elimination plan, where we're at, just to make sure we're on track and that we basically haven't forgotten it. And it's a letter letting us know that they haven't forgotten. So so what you have in front of you is a copy of that letter. And then also our plan, a financial presentation of that plan. And what this plan shares with you, the board, is that we will have our deficit completely eliminated this year. So last year, $1.5 million deficit. At the end of last year, fiscal year 23, we had a balance of an outstanding deficit of $883,000. Go back to your balance sheet, not that I want to copy all over the place, but on your balance sheet that's in your board packet, if you're looking in column, the September 2023 column, that very bottom number there, unrestricted, that Beth had pointed out, that was our balance that was outstanding, standing deficit that was due, okay? What you have in the February column at the bottom there, that 178,000, that's what we have so far as an outstanding balance. So when you're looking at this plan that we're going to be sending in, and it shows the unrestricted net position as a positive 880,000, that's what we're projecting, that will be that far ahead by the end of this fiscal year. So we will have paid off all of our deficit in another month, and then we'll start to then have a real good positive cash flow.
Wow.
Now, the revenue driver behind that is our CCB HC. So that's really doing really well. We're ahead year to date, 5 months in. We're ahead of budget for units of service by 1,100 units of service. So well beyond what we budgeted and projected. So that's fantastic. We're really seeing a lot of volume come in there. Any questions regarding that?
Is there any questions that anyone would like to ask Andre? Here none, thank you very much for your report. Johnson, are you ready for a roll call, please?
With no other comments? Yes.
Okay, being that this is a state matter and our response to the state, we will be taking a roll call vote on this. Mark DeYoung,
Yes.
Jessica Castanat,
Yes.
Glenn Bookhouse,
Yes.
Pam Brenner,
Yes.
Kimberly Bartnick,
Yes.
Pastor Craig Van Beek,
Yes.
Dr. Robin Clay,
Yes.
Beth Johnson,
Yes.
Jane Farrell,
Yes.
and I say yes. That motion carries. Is there any further business from the finance?
No, thank you.
Thank you very much for your report this evening. Then,
We'll meet in June, unless something comes up.
thank you very much. Next on the agenda is our LRE update, and we have Stephanie Vanderpoy here this evening. Thank you for transversing our roundabout construction. So, Stephanie, you have the floor.
All right, wonderful, thank you. And yes, I did have to take an alternate to get here, but I made it, so it was good, so thank you. There are a lot of things going on at the LRE, and I also want to touch on a couple of things that, last month Mary Dumas was here, our CEO, so I want to try to touch base a little bit on what she covered and give you a further update, and then of course sprinkle in some of my thoughts, as well too. So one of the things that she covered last month when she was here was she talked about our waiver slots. We are still working through those because I don't know if she shared, but we got 30. They're allowing us, MDHHS, when I say they, sorry, MDHHS is allowing us to do 10 per month. So we had 10 in March, 10 this month, 10 next month, and then all 30 will be filled. But we probably won't see some of those payments until fourth quarter. So as far as our agency really seeing some benefits, it'll take a little bit of time. So just wanted to let you know that we're still working on that. One of the other things that we have coming up is we're working on site reviews. We're coming here to OnPoint, June 10 through 14. So just wanted to let you know that. We look forward to working with you. You always do great work, so we're excited to document that. One of the other things I wanted to mention as well too is we are meeting with legislators. So I believe last month Alan Bolter was here. So Alan Bolter is working with Mary and I, and we've been meeting with a variety of legislators across the region. And one of the things that we're asking them for is an update to the Senate bills, specifically at 647 through 654. They're all the ones on tobacco. So specifically tobacco licensing and vaping. They've been out there for over 6 months. Nothing's happening. So we were just kind of inquiring what's happening with that. And the reason why I bring that up is because here, your prevention team actually has to work on some of this tobacco work. And if tobacco were licensed, it'd be a little easier for your prevention team. So specifically, we're required to keep a list of all the tobacco retailers, and because it isn't licensed, truly it is your team driving around your county and noticing, oh, hey, there's a new gas station. We probably better write that down. It's literally like that. It is an absorbent amount of time for your team, our team. So if it were licensed, it would be a lot easier. So that's one of the things we're looking for. And all of them have so far said, I'm not sure, let me get back to you. So I look forward to them getting back to me. So I'll let you know next month what I hear. So the other thing with that as well too, is we're just trying to explain a little bit about who the LRE is and just let them know that we exist so that if they have any questions or comments on things, if they need help, we can be a source of that for them. One other thing that I wanted to mention as well too is from Mary's report from last month, we did get new rates. They start April 1st. So for the region, that does make our deficit look significantly better. We're still projecting a deficit of about 7 million, but it's significantly better than what it was last month. So the rates are in, they're better. They're not great, but they're better. So we're excited about that. Again, they'll start April 1st. So we'll see that next month when we get our payment from the state. Just a couple other things. Next week, Wednesday is our LRE board meeting. We are having a work session at 11 a.m. 1 o'clock's the board meeting, and it is at the Grand Valley State University's, they call it the Hub. It's right in Muskegon, right along the lakefront. So if you have interest in attending, you may certainly do that, or you can ask us and we can provide you the link if you'd like to join virtually. We can gladly do that for you as well. One other item too is our autism manager, Justin Pursoon, who works in my department. He has decided to leave us for greener pastures and do private practice. So I am now looking for an autism manager at our department. So that's very sad, but we're very excited for him though too. So just wanted to let you know that. The last thing that I want to leave you with is just a slight personal plug in that Tulip Time is coming up on May 4th through 11. And Erin Hurley, your prevention individual who works here, and I dance. So in the event you want to come watch us dance for Alumni Dutch Dance, what? Yes, we can get you our schedule. Yeah, so anyway, just wanted to put this little shameless plug out there. So, anyway, yeah, and Mark goes and watches this every year. It's perfect. So Mr. Chairman, that concludes my report.
Thank you very much for your report this evening. Is there anyone that would like to have any questions or clarifications on anything that Stephanie has reported on?
Yes, can I
Yes,
get your
just-
schedule for Dutch dancing?
Yes.
I would also like it.
Okay, perfect. I'll send it. Can I send it to you and you just,
Sorry, that's.
perfect. It's a lot of fun.
I understand that you have to go through quite a rigorous inspection of your costume.
I did.
Yes. And Aaron and I barely passed this year, but we did pass. So we're very excited because that was a little nerve wracking this year. So
I know
anyway.
that you'll do well. Is there any other comments from the board? Thank you very much for your report this evening.
Thank you.
Next is the June's Executive Committee report. We met last Friday. We reviewed the key board tasks. The new officers that were elected have assumed their roles for tonight. We received the financial audit that we were prepared for. And we need to collect any uncollected conflict of interest forms. So everyone get your conflict of interest forms in. I'll be after the meeting waiting for any of them that Megan tells me that has not been handed in. Okay, all right, you're giving me the eye there. We reviewed the board meeting packets. And then we had a briefing from Mark on different agency developments, which is the QI director resignation. The new compliance director has been added to the contracts. She is located in northern Michigan, but will be doing most of her work online. And if she needs to come, she does have a family here where she can come and visit and take care of anything that's here on point. We talked about those strategic planning, development and other different issues. One of the most critical things that I took from that was the article on Ascension, basically divesting their hospital holdings in Michigan and leaving Michigan. And the announcement that Plainville, Fifth, Allegan Ascension, and the two other hospitals in Kalamazoo were not had any disposition to them yet. They have done on the east side of the state. Henry Ford has taken over their hospitals over there. Up north, Corwell has now taken over some of that. But these hospitals in Allegan County are sort of not decided yet. So with Commissioner DeYoung's help, I was going to put that on a discussion item on the Board of Commissioners meeting next month, next time we meet, to see if that the county has any input to that we do it appropriately. And with that, is there any questions for me on the Chairman Executive Committee report? One last thing, I did get my name put back in to for nomination to the association's treasurer's position, because Dora Brown has retired or because of family issues. We wish her well and taking care of that, but I have put my name back in for the hopper for nomination or election on June 10th when we have the conference. So wish me luck. So, thank you. Is there any other questions? Hearing none, we will go on to the OnPoint Executive Director. Mr. Whitty, we have you online and virtual this evening. It must be doing very well. You're not in a suit and tie.
I forgot my tie. I could pretend I have one, but I don't. So thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I'll try to be very brief and realize that participating from afar is not usually the easiest thing to do, and I'm sure it's not as useful to try to do a long report through this technology, but I'm grateful that we have the opportunity to do it in the first place. Probably the first disclaimer is even though I'm Dutch heritage, we always considered Dutch dancing to be an oxymoron, words that don't go well together. So anyway, thank you that Stephanie carries the torch on that. And speaking of thank yous, I really want to extend a thank you publicly to Mandy for her work with the agency. Of course, you've heard it through the program committee and you've heard it reported now at the board. But Mandy's departure from us is a very important transition for her, but it'll also be a very significant challenge for us. And so we'll be working diligently to fill that position with as great a competency as we can. But we will really miss Mandy. We are going to be separating so thank you, Mandy. I know you're there. We also will be splitting the roles of compliance from the role of quality improvement and innovation, and we will be trying to secure those services through a very seasoned individual who's worked for a number of years in the Northern Michigan community mental health and PIHP regions. So Diane Bennett comes with a great deal of experience and should help us bridge to whatever we do for the long haul in relationship to that. I should also mention, related to the Ascension conversation, I did happen to run into Paul not Hoffman, Paul Hoffman, yes, it is, Paul Hoffman, last Saturday night in Allegan. And we had the brief conversation, and we'll say that he seemed very confident that Ascension services will continue in our community. So I meet with him on Monday and look forward to a chance to make his acquaintance. He's a longtime stakeholder in Allegan County, so I'm hopeful for what that may mean. Only other thing that I want to highlight related to my report is just to say that we are really blessed to know that there's so many things that are going on. And as I sat and listened to the program committee tonight for the first time in a long time, because I usually sit in with the finance committee, I'm just so grateful to hear the positive reports of services that are continuing and the work that's going on. And we can get a little bit misled by hearing all the good reports that the work is not as hard as what it is. And I just want to reemphasize the importance of recognizing the difficult work that our staff do and the need to remember and appreciate them every opportunity we get. So with that in mind, I think I'll stop there and just ask if there are any other questions, and I'm happy to answer them. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Is there any questions for our executive director, Mark Reagan? It looks like they're gonna let you off the hook tonight.
Oh, that's good. That's a one giant screen. I'm glad to be able to give you that relief. Good night.
I don't know which is redder on that TV or not, your hair or your nose.
I'll let it be your choice.
With that, Mr. Tangent, would you go ahead and do our corporate compliance
I-
training for us
Certainly will.
before we all first